attract every kind of man, and no matter what culture or ethnicity, that man is. Your feminine energy is going to attract that. But you have to be able to discern what you're not going to allow and be able to sift through the good and the bad. Some folks out here just accepting anything.
They are.
Can't do
it. Okay, so like today we planned to discuss sex. Now I feel like I need to share something with you and also the audience that like in real time, something I've never shared with you before, ever. First of all, I don't think like you realize how conservative sexually I am. Like I don't discuss sex, period.
Really?
Ever. Nope. Think about it.
No, you don't.
I don't talk about sex. Definitely not to my children or like around them ever.
Why?
I just don't feel like it's necessary. I don't know. I don't know what we could gain from that as mother-daughter. I don't know what, like if they ask me a question, I'm going to be open, and forthcoming with them. I'm not going to lie, but I'm definitely not ever offering the information or presenting the conversation. You have mostly sons.
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes a difference. Like I have all daughters, so I feel like being in this very this mindset forever.
I'm like
my entire life.
But what about the educational portion of it? Like you don't volunteer the information. So you wait for them to come to you and say, "Hey, what does this?" So what about the birds and the bees talk?
What I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've just always been open with them, and we just talk about like life. And I feel like within the context of discussing life, that you come to understand things about sexuality. But I don't know. I wasn't taught about it, and I know that you would think that I would be the type of person who would be like discussing these things and open with my daughters. I don't know. I keep it real with them, but as far as like, hey mom, I'm having sex with this guy and this is happening and that is absolutely not. I've never had that kind of conversation with my with my daughter, my grown daughter, never ever. And I've never had that conversation with my mother ever. Everything that I learned about sex, I learned about it on my own. And I feel like I'm really good at it. And I believe in my kids.
You're going to be a top performer, bitch. Like, you come from good stock.
You come from good genes. That is intuitive. So I don't know, but it's just like we never discussed it. Yeah. But I've always been a really sexual person. But I'm extremely private. Like I don't like discuss it with even my close friends. Like you and I are close friends. I don't be talking about
you
sex.
Really don't. I'll say something about it. You were like, okay. I'm like, no, this is an exchange. Like I want to tell you what happened, and I want feedback. Like this is, never mind.
I know.
We get this off the camera, but
off the record.
Off the record.
But I feel you. But it's just like I don't know. It's I have no hang-ups about sex. Like I'm very open-minded sexually.
Right.
But it's just like when it comes to me, I think that first of all, I come from a very conservative family.
Okay.
My father is a preacher. My mother is like basically an evangelist or something.
Right.
I think that there is that deeply ingrained concern of like shaming my family.
Gotcha.
So I try not to do that. I try to do my best. I do my thing. But I just try to like keep it.
You've been married for 35 years. It ain't just the looks, man. Let's be honest. You twirling.
Well, you know.
But you even shy saying that. You blushing.
I know my way around the better.
Right.
I do. I know
yeah.
my way. It's low key.
Yeah.
It's intuitive for me. Like, it's nothing. Like, I'm great at sex. Right. I'm really like A+.
Yeah.
I know. I'm good at it. But I don't know. I'm just very guarded about that.
And see, I'm wide open.
Life.
And that sounds bad. Hold on, first of all. It's not what I mean. Let me rewind.
I am wide open. Anything y'all want to do?
I heard somebody say, listen, what a guy said, I was asking one of my homeboys, they had just had a sexual encounter with a girl, and I was like, so how was it? So I have these very intimate talk with my homeboys, and they tell me some stuff where I'm just like, God, I hope nobody thought like this about me.
My brother, I have conversations like that with my brother. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how y'all talk about
right. And he was like, Autumn, sis. He was like throwing a hot dog down the hallway. I was like, oh
no.
Ouch.
Maybe that's his problem. Maybe that wasn't her problem.
Maybe, yeah, I wouldn't know. But I'm just like, it can go both ways.
Perhaps.
But I'm very much open. I'm not open-minded. That's the wrong word to say, but I'm very much vocal about that. And I come from a very religious background. My mother's just a prophetess. She's been that for I don't know how many years. And my father's not so much religious, but he's very intuitive and empathetic in a way that he's just like, you're moving different. I sense something is, different, blah, blah. Yeah. So I was always afraid to just be free around him because I didn't want him to think of me in a different way. I always wanted to be perceived as daddy's little girl. And start having 5 kids, you ain't daddy's little girl no more. You out there busting it wide for somebody. So, it's no longer a secret. It's yeah. So, when it comes to my children, speaking about it, as a matter of fact, and I didn't tell you this, but just yesterday, I was having my oldest son help me flip my mattress. And
no.
Your stuff come in black bags.
Oh, no.
I caught myself hiding under the mattress.
Oh, no.
He flipped the mattress, and the anxiety that took over my body. I was like, I was looking at myself. Out of body experience. But no, he picked up the bag, and he was like, Mom, this is on the bed.
No.
And he had one side of the handle. He was 19.
19. Okay.
So we've had to talk.
Yes.
And very detailed talks about how this thing works.
Yes.
And so part of the bag was open, and he was like, he's holding it up in the air. He's like, Mom, this is under the bed. It looks like a strong charger.
I'm not strong.
I was like, why did you say strong? Does it look aggressive? Like, Autumn, get your shit together. Don't overreact. Slowly reach for the bag. And don't act surprised, because he reads body language and he's gonna know something is off. And then my oil is in there, so I'm like,
you got oil?
I can't explain
Machine.
I can't explain this. There's a whole artillery in the bag. So he was like, here. He just gave me the bag, and I took it and put it away. But having those conversations with him, and even my daughter, and she's only 10, she had a scare. Well, not a scare, but she had a moment where she was feeling very emotional and vulnerable.
How old is she?
10.
Ryan. She's 10.
Yeah, Ryan's 10. And this kid in the neighborhood was like feeling her, like wanting to be her boyfriend, quote unquote. And so he would want to come to the house and see if she was coming outside. And my 7-year-old Bryce was like, yeah, when they got off the bus, he's like, yeah, come on over. As soon as we finish our homework, come on to play. So Ryan's like, no, don't invite him over. He likes me and I don't like him. So Bryce's like, yeah, we're all family. Come on over. So the boys get ready to come over, and Ryan just starts crying. Oh. She's like, I don't want him to talk to me. He keeps messing with me and I don't like him. So she's feeling that pressure of being pursued.
I remember that feeling. Yeah.
And it was just
how
like
scary it was. It was scary.
Let's talk about that.
It was scary for me. Like groups of boys. Like I always had like a lot of boys who were interested in me. Like my whole life. Like, there are some people who like kind of came into that. As they matured. But like legit, I had people being like sexually interested in me from the time I was a very young girl, like 9 or 10. It was just something that I was just always like attracting that type of energy. Mm-hmm. Like I developed really early. I was really like busty. Mm-hmm. You know, I was a pretty girl. I was sweet. Mm-hmm. And it just like boys liked it, men liked it. Like it just has been part of my experience since I can remember. Like seriously, like since I can remember, it has always been a thing. And you know, just kind of trying to navigate that.
Yeah. So who do you talk to about that?
You don't talk to anybody about it because nobody gets it. Nobody understands it. Like there was this one time that there were these boys in the neighborhood. I had watched this story with my brother. He's 5 years younger than me. And I was maybe 12, so he was what? 7. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was around 7. And we had walked to the store, and there was this group of boys, and they were like, oh man, you know, oh, you look good. What's your name? You know, like really trying to talk to me, and I was just ignoring them. Mm. And I was walking, and they followed us for like 2 or 3 blocks. And I don't know at what point I just got like spooked. I just got nervous. Yeah. And I just started to run. And I'm like, come on. Like they were making me uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, let's go. These boys were like around my age, within like 2 or 3 years older. Which when you're a kid, 3 years is a lot. It's a big difference between a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And I started to run and got almost to the house. Like, got to the house, and my father was outside working on a car, and he was like, what? Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like, just in a panic. Like, we ran up. And I was like, these boys are chasing me. And my father was so angry. Yeah. And he was like, you don't ever run from anybody. You don't ever run from anybody. Wow. And he was like so adamant, and so what I felt at the time, maybe he was angry at the boys, but what it felt like to me was that he was angry at me. And he was like, you know, just scolded me for that. And I didn't know what else to do. You know, like, I didn't want boys looking at me.
Right.
I didn't want them reaching for me and grabbing for like my body parts. I didn't want that. I didn't know how to be strong. You know what I'm saying? I'm
so
like
do you
12,
think that had
11,
that played
10.
a part?
Oh, for sure.
In not, you know, being like that vocal about it? About
for sure, absolutely. Absolutely. It was just like, you know, I became later in life a very sexual person, you know, but it was something that was very private. And it still remains very like private for me. Yeah. And I don't know, you know, some people can say, oh, this is a result of trauma that you like are this sexual and this private. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? All I know is like how I felt when I was younger, how I feel now. And it was just always something that was just like, I don't know, like, you know, it was always something that was so easily accessible to me, like sex, you know, and I wasn't like afraid of it. I didn't shy away from it, you know, but I don't know. It just always felt to me like the people who like talked about it a lot or whatever weren't really getting it. Yeah. I got so much sex. You got a shot about and so much like, even when it wasn't sex, so much like lust. And just like raw like attraction for all of my life, most of my life, that it's just like, I don't know, I don't really talk about it, and I don't really feel comfortable discussing it, even though I am a very highly sexual person. I just don't, when we in it. Yeah. You know, in the room together, it's a different story. You know what I'm saying? But like just describing it, or I don't know, I feel like it's so intense and it's so much that I don't even want to talk about it.
I think that it people have their experiences, and I do believe it is a very intimate and private thing. I also think that for some, not all, but for some, it like exudes to the point where it just can't be subdued. Like it just, you see it pouring out of someone's pores, and you're just like, you know, they walk in that way, they talk in that way.
Yes.
And not necessarily sexuality, but sensuality, to where they feel things intensely, and it has no other option but to come out in whatever creative way that looks like. For me, like, even the reason why I have not spit poetry in so long is because my sensuality comes out on that channel. And it has done it, that has been my outlet for that expression since I was probably like 17. And so whereas I enjoy sex, I appreciate it, and I think it's something that's very liberating, but when it comes to expressing it to others, it really, like, the raunchiness of it comes out in poetry. And that's where the side of me that people may not expect to that intensity is expressed. But I think there's a major difference between sexuality and sensuality.
Okay. All right.
So,
well, preach this. Like, teach the people.
I think sexuality is more of a physical reaction. Like, it's more of a physical act where you it's like an internal, like, fire or overwhelming sensation that comes out in a physical way. Like, sexuality is a performance of, you know, your body interacting with someone else or even yourself, and it's more physical than anything else. But I think sensuality is more spiritual. I think the two can they're intertwined, which creates a more orgasmic experience when you have a spiritual, sensual connection with someone you're having sex with. But I think sexuality is more physical than it is spiritual as sensuality is. I think sensuality involves, like it says, all of your senses, and therefore it can be more explosive, especially when you combine it with the two. Yeah. But
and it has to do with like a deep connection with self, because you cannot be sensual and not be connected with yourself. Like, you have to really feel that in your like gut. Like, I'm like, ow, like, ooh, look at me. Like, you have to feel that, and if you're not feeling that, it doesn't come across. It can't come across. But like, when you see a woman who's sensual and you can like feel that sexuality exuding from her, that cannot be manufactured. Like, that's something that like happens, like with your Janet Jacksons. I got my Janet Jackson shirt on today. You know, she's like one of the sexiest women in the world. And like, her music is explicitly sexual, but just her demeanor.
She moves in a very sensual way.
She does. She's like kind of shy, you know, like to herself type personality. But it's just something about her that lets you know, like, she get down. Yeah. She gets down.
Yeah, like, her expression is through music, and it comes out in raw form, and people connect with her on that. But outside of music, it's just like, okay, I'm quiet, I'm chill. Like,
but you know, behind the scenes.
But not a lot of people give themselves permission to do that, to open that portal and express themselves. So they stay bottled up, and that's where the envy comes from, because they see others who have their freedom to do that, and they're not ashamed of it, and they're like, I don't know how she got there or why she's doing it, but I know that I want it. I want to do that same thing. So at least the envy, and that sucks. But
I think that also, like, just beyond like if we look at it on a deeper level, I think that there is a lot of, like, some women experience trauma. That like disconnects them from themselves. Because some women take that trauma, or some people take that trauma and they sexualize it, and they like utilize it in a very like powerful way sexually, and then you have other people who completely turn away from it, and they feel discomfort in that level of sexuality and expression, and they're cut off, you know. Like, my mother, she's a really religious woman, and like there will be some things that I'll send her just to run past her, and in my opinion it's benign. In my opinion it's pretty, Pollyanna, not very sexual, anything like that. But she'll look at it and she'll say, I think that there are women who aren't comfortable in their sexuality who would feel uncomfortable with this, and they would feel isolated by this. My mother has literally had conversations with me like that. And I just like really have to sit back and listen, like, and just not understanding it because, there's this pressure. If you're going to be cool, a cool person, a cool woman, you're like really connected with like your sexuality and doing sexual things. And there are some people who that completely makes them feel like they don't have access to it, they don't feel comfort with it, and it scares them, and you can completely isolate that demographic by moving in a way like unapologetically sexual, because everyone is not that way. Right. Some people don't even enjoy sex. They have sex because that's what you're supposed to do, but they're not having orgasms. They're not feeling safe, even with safe people. They're just not having a good time. It's not fun to them. It's like a chore. Like, this is what people do. They have sex, so I'm going to have sex. But they're not, like, looking forward to it or embracing it or even, like, having any industry in it. Like, coming into a sexual experience, like, giving someone new experiences that, like, making them feel great because they're so disconnected from themselves sexually. And it's a whole thing.
There was one study, a few studies, and it suggested that like there was a small percentage of women who orgasm from penetration. And I just believe that spiritually, when you're disconnected from your body, or if you're blocked, or there's blockage, caused by trauma, or whatever the case may be, that is one of the main causes for a lack of sexual pleasure and the ability to orgasm. And I'm just gonna be all the way honest, flipping my blue braids back.
Okay.
I had that issue in the past, but it wasn't until
what issue?
With the issue? Not feeling fully connected in the experience with my partner, and I didn't realize that it wasn't. I wanted to put the blame on my partner in saying that, well, you're just not, a good fit, and this is why I can't orgasm. Opposed to saying that I am too much in my head or disconnected from this experience to fully be, present for it and enjoy it.
Because you have to be present.
And in a result orgasm. It was too much like, okay, I need to orgasm because this is what we're doing. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to orgasm because I want to satisfy him, and men are satisfied when you're satisfied. So the main thing for me was feeling safe with the person that I was with, and also knowing that this is my body, self-agency, right? And that I have control on what my body does. It wasn't until my partner said, and we had a long talk about it, because again, men are just like, listen, my job is to make you orgasm. I'm supposed to give you this, and so it wasn't until he said, listen, your job is to come. Don't worry about me. I know you're a pleaser, but your job here is to come. And when I realized he was serious about that thing, like, my job is to please you and take care of you.
Yeah, I think you're relaxed.
Yeah. I got out of my head, and it was a different story from then on. But a lot of women, we don't have that same privilege.
No.
And some people go their whole lifetime without experiencing that true.
Sure. You feel that like a pressure. You feel pressure to like make this person feel good, and it's like if they're not feeling good, then
there's a problem with you.
Then what's wrong with you? That you couldn't make this person feel good, and it is a lot of pressure. But I don't know. I just, I'm a sexual person, but just very like, what they say, a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets.
Yeah.
I'm totally bought into it.
Yeah.
Totally bought into it.
I don't know. It just spills over. And, it could be because I'm not in a relationship. And I think that, well, as I reflect now, when I'm in a relationship, I'm not as... No, that's a lie. Yeah, that's a lie.
What am I saying?
I'm not as vocal. I'm not as vocal. Because I think that certain things just should not be exposed and kept, sacred. But I don't know. It might be because of our signs.
What do you mean? Because you're a Sag?
Our zodiac signs.
Well, yeah. Like if we look at it like just from that standpoint, with you being a fire sign and my being an earth sign, like I'm definitely going to be more conservative, just and traditional, than a fire sign. But I feel like it has more to do with your being a mother of mostly boys.
Tell me how that works. Cause
I don't know. It's just like I'm just more like I don't want to really consider the sexuality of my children, like because they're girls. If I had sons, I may be different. But I always feel that individuals who have sons are a lot more open-minded when it comes to like sexual things than people who have daughters, because I don't know, it's just because that sexual like desire or whatever is always like pointed towards the girl, you know what I'm saying? Okay. It's like I don't necessarily want my girls to be seen that way. So I just don't spend a lot of time like thinking about it, and I don't have like a high comfort level with it. I know that I don't expect them not to be sexual beings. If they ever came to me, I wouldn't shame them for it. But it's just certainly not something that we ever discuss.
Oh, okay. I see.
Ever.
I see.
And it's just like, it's a part of me that feels like it would make them uncomfortable. And it's like, I don't even want to make them uncomfortable knowing about things that I do sexually with their dad. And I don't know, it's just weird to me. But, maybe I'm an L7. Maybe I'm just a square.
L7. You know what? No, I'm a square because I didn't even catch on to that. I had to picture it in my head. Like, why is it? Okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense. No, but that's a good theory because with my oldest son, even with my 14-year-old, I recently discovered that he was watching porn. Okay. I have 4 sons, 19, 14, 7, and 6. Okay. So my 14-year-old was recently caught Googling porn. Like we have, he has a phone that is shared to my Google account so I can see where his searches are.
How old is he?
He's 14.
Okay, 14.
And so he's just, he's into his gaming and his friends. So I didn't think anything of it. Like, he's probably going to be a late bloomer. They're all good. So I'm going into my recent search to find a clothing website that I had left. I lost. I'm like, shit, I got to find this clothing website. I go in there and see Pornhub. Scroll one day. Scroll the next day. Pornhub.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute. How far does this go back? I'm doing the whole finger motion, scrolling days back, and I just see porn. So I'm like, okay, get curious, don't get upset. What is he searching? And so I come to find out he likes a particular type of woman. He likes the Khloe Kardashian type women.
Really?
Yeah, I'm searching. There's YouTube searches for her too.
Oh, wow.
Not just Pornhub, but YouTube searches. So I'm like, okay, how do I handle this? Because he's a boy. He's a human, first of all. This is going to happen. He's going to be curious about sexuality and things like that. So how do I handle this? Call his dad. they follow the same pattern when it comes to personality. How did you handle this? Because right now I'm a little confused. So he handled it, and he assured me it's nothing to worry about. This is normal. And so watching him move after he knew that I knew that he had been porn searching, porn surfing, as I call it. You know, he's a little more humble. You porn surfing.
Tell us how you confronted him. Like, what did that?
I
look
didn't.
Like? You didn't say anything.
I didn't.
Well, how did you know? Oh, you just joked.
I joked. Yeah. So he would get up late for school. Most when they were doing virtual learning, he would stay in the bed later, and so I would mess with him. Like, it was a morning, not too long afterwards. I'm like, it's time to get up for school, okay? I hope you ain't in there searching for that porn.
You're petty. You just decided to be
I'm
petty.
terrible. And so he looks at me like, I hate her. You know. Or if I'm watching the Kardashians, hey, sire, Khloe's on.
No.
And because we have that type of dynamic where in other, you know, situations, he's joking with me in a different, you know, in that way. Like, we're very sarcastic with each other. But I think it kind of threw him for, you know, for me to find out something he was trying to hide. And I kind of felt bad because it's a very sacred thing. It's something you talk about with his dad. But I'm like, I'm your mom. I had to have sex to have you come here.
Right.
So we're going to put it on the table. Yeah. You like Khloe Kardashian, okay?
Not Khloe,
and
though.
You...
Of all of the Kardashians, that's the one?
So I'm like, you don't like tall girls. And whatever the case may be, you're watching porn now. So I know. Here it is. I know. Point blank. My oldest, I never knew. They won't know. They wouldn't know.
You think he did? Or you think?
I think he did. He
had to.
But I think my oldest Kai was so afraid of having children because I was like his birth control. I was like, when I had Jackson, he was like, Mom, you're pregnant again? And he was upset.
What?
He was just like, why do you keep having all these kids? Why are you doing this to me? I don't want to be Big Brother no more. I want to be an only child.
Oh, no.
So I was like, sorry.
That's
both
so funny.
And so it's like,
oh, no.
Why?
Oh, no. Mom, please.
Right.
Stop it.
And so I think for him it was like, listen, if I have sex, I'm going to have a child. And I don't want to be like my mom. You know? As much as it hurt, well, it didn't hurt, but it was just like, dang.
Wow.
At the same time, I was like, okay, good. Don't do that. So I didn't confirm that my oldest was having sex until a couple months ago. And I jokingly, because I asked questions in indirect ways to get the information, and he revealed to me he did not respond when I asked him. I was like, "Oh, you wearing condoms?" And that was my way of asking him, "Are you having sex?" And he was just like, "Yeah." And he figured out what I was asking him, so he couldn't lie because I'm watching his body language. Like,
oh wow.
So yeah, I found out, and after that he was like, "Well, you know now, you know I'm having sex." So, you know, so he leave the house on a Friday night. I'm like, make sure you got your condoms with you.
Oh no.
Because you know I ain't trying to be a grandmother, and you gonna catch a disease.
Oh no, especially
right.
Under the circumstance, we don't go there because I have to edit that out.
So I'm like, your basketball career is over. Okay, your basketball career is over. You ain't gonna be shit.
Nothing.
She's gonna take it all.
It's a wrap.
Her and her mama and her daddy, they waiting on you. Get out situation. You're gonna be chained in the back of a forest somewhere. Some white guy gonna auction for your basketball skills.
You gotta let him know. You gotta tell him the truth.
I'm serious.
Because it's just
serious.
like, it's crazy out here.
I'm
like,
not playing with him.
Like, I go so extreme.
Right.
Like, when we do talk about, like, serious stuff, I'll be like, look, worst case scenario, sis. Listen. Just like this. It's gonna go down. Like, I do not play.
Not with,
I do not play. I keep it so real with them that it scares them. And I'm like, you know, I always have to go back and be like, look, I did present you the worst case scenario.
Right.
Because I needed to get your attention. I'll have a discussion with them. However, know that this is a possibility.
It is a possibility, regardless.
Do not be in these streets naive. Don't be out here thinking delusional, looking at like creating this fantasy for yourself.
Yeah.
We need to be out here seeing things for what they are, and not in order to become cynical or bitter, but like from just a place of awareness and just like observation.
Yeah.
And a strong woman can see that and still keep on just moving. It don't shake her.
Yeah.
You know, but that takes some training, and they're young.
Does.
You know, my girls are young, but it's like we got to be realistic about what's going on out here in this world.
Oh yeah.
And with the type of things people do to each other, and I'm wishing the best for you, but let's like look at the variables here. So he said, "What? All right," and he lived this kind of way. And he never met his dad, and did he have a grandfather? Like, we got to consider these variables.
Yeah. So my questions were, how many boyfriends has she had before you that look like you? Is this a pattern? And what are her parents' patterns when it comes to boyfriends that look like you? And how do you feel when you get around those people? And I hate to say those people, but they're people.
Yeah. How
do you feel when you get around those people? How nice or not nice is she when you challenge her? Like, I need you to check for this body language, because the last thing I need to do is think that you're out having fun with your friends and you locked in somebody's basement somewhere. And then you like sitting up like, what happened? I need you to be aware of your surroundings and the people in your surroundings, including your girlfriend. But in the case, in the scenario where I need to protect my own, I know where you are, and I'm coming to get you, or your father, or whoever. And so he learns to appreciate that over the years. But he also knows that what I do and what I tell him is honest, because like any loving mom, you sift through all scenarios and possibilities, and you know your child, and you know how they respond in certain scenarios. So they appreciate that level of protection and love for them. So now he knows something don't seem right. I'm coming to get you. I don't care how old you are.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. I'm your mother for a reason.